Welcome to GTC Teaching Tidbits Blackboard Ultra. In this limited series, each episode we explore techniques, tips, practices, and ideas to expand your knowledge of and comfort with using Blackboard Ultra. I'm joined today by Lee McMinn from the Curriculum and Instructional Support Center, CISC for short. Welcome, Lee.
Hey, Rachel, it's good to be back.
Always good to have you on these episodes. And in episode 24, Lee gave us a sneak peek of what was to come in Ultra for December. And so today's episode, Lee is going to dive into those specific updates for December 2023. So Lee, I'm going to turn it over to you to share your teaching tidbits.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Yeah, December is not as packed full of wonderful stuff as past months. There are some good things here that I'll be sharing with you. But so let's go ahead and get started. So basically, we have a list of what's going to be available or what just came out for instructors. I do have some screenshots of some more information on some of these. The large rubric support is pretty obvious. Basically, a rubric can have unlimited size, unlimited criteria, unlimited everything. It used to be limited to 15 criteria. Now, if you're crazy enough to have a rubric that has 100 criteria, you can create that. I say that kind of laughingly because if you have to grade something using 100 criteria, you're going to be grading a long time on one person's subject, I guess. Anyway, but just to let you know, it is unlimited. So that's what we have there. Group assessment, due date exceptions, that's kind of what it is. It is what it says it is. Sorting controls in the student and questions tab. I'll show you a screenshot of that, what that looks like. Grid view sorting controls. You wanted to be able to sort in the grid view of the gradebook. Now you can on just about every column and everything in there. And I'll show you a screenshot of that. There's been some improvements to the automatic zero that you can set up in the gradebook. I'll give you a little bit more on that and a screenshot of that. And then this last thing that affects instructors is this AI generative tools that Blackboard has. We haven't been talking about that much in these past episodes of our updates because it's a really big new thing, and CISC has had to kind of wrap our head around it and understand this a little bit better before we kind of open these tools up to the faculty. And we're going to talk more about that and some opportunities you may have as faculty to become part of a pilot group to use these in the spring. And then we'll open up college-wide, hopefully in the summer. So that's what we have to look forward to for instructors. And again, we'll look at some of these details in just a minute. For instructors and students, we've had some additional controls added to the text box editor, and one of that is an image insertion button, which I'll show you a screenshot of that. And then there's been some enhancements to the grade feature in the mobile app. And again, we'll take a look at that screenshot. But for the group assessment due date exceptions, basically what that means is, you could build groups and you can assign assessments, whether they're assignments or tests or things like that, to different groups. But until now, we did not have a way to do exceptions on due dates and things like that. So now basically you can do that. So if you go to your group assignment page or whatnot, where it shows the different group assignments, you can click on the little more options icon, the little 3 horizontal dots. And now you have the ability to add an exception, meaning you could give group 1 an extension on the due date if you wanted to, or something like that. So that's basically what that is. Sorting controls in the student and questions tab. So basically when you go to grade an assignment or a test, this is the new layout look, if you will. I want to point out a couple of things. Here at the top in the white bar, if they have attached multiple files, there will be a link up here at the top for each file that's been attached to that assignment or whatnot. This one has only got one file attached to it, and you can see which file you're looking at by the purple underline. On the left-hand side is your list of students, and I had an instructor ask me this question just the other day. They said, I want to grade by questions. Well, evidently they haven't seen the teaching tidbit on that new feature that came out, but now when you're grading a test, at the top on the left panel, you have students and you have questions. So to grade by question, you click on questions. Now we have a new feature at the end of the grading status bar, and that's a sorting control. So if you want to sort by newest to oldest due date, you can see all the options you have to sort by. If the grade is not grade, excuse me, you can sort by last name, first name, and student ID if you want to. So these are all the new sorting features that you have, whether it be by student or by questions. If you're sorting by question, the drop-down list will be a little bit different. Based on the question type. So there you go. That's what we have with the new sorting controls when it comes to grading. The grid view sorting controls. Again, when you go to the Gradebook and you click on the grid view button at the top left, that's the little grid picture. You go to the grid view, and until this month, you didn't have sorting controls on each column. Now you can sort by columns. Now, which column are you sorting by? That's where you see the little purple underline. So right now, this is sorted by overall grade, from lowest to highest, possibly. And you can see that here. But you can see there's a little up-down arrow at the end of the name on each column. So you could sort by any of those columns using those up-down arrows. So just be aware of that. Now, there has been an update with the automatic zero in the Gradebook. In the past, what would happen if you turned on automatic zeros, it went to anything that was past due and gave it a 0, whether the student was still a student or not. So like if you had a withdrawn student or a student that was dropped because of absences and still showed up in your Gradebook, they got a 0 for past assignments that they may not have even been a member of the class anymore, enrolled in the course anymore, and they shouldn't get those zeros because that can screw up any grade record that you had at the time they withdrew. So now when you check off the automatic zeros, that's when you go to the settings of the Gradebook, and on the right-hand pane that pops up, and you have this checkbox to assign automatic zeros for past due work. And it tells you that students can still submit work late, and it will replace that automatic 0. And students with due date accommodations, of course, are not affected by this. But now basically what happens is when you assign those automatic zeros, those students that had withdrawn will not get zeros on work after they had withdrawn, or, that occurred, after they had withdrawn and that sort of stuff. So that's going to help preserve some of the academic records in relation to when they withdrew. So that's a good feature, and it's going to be very helpful. All right, what are these AI generative tools that are in Blackboard? They're actually there now, but they haven't been turned on for faculty. CISC has been testing these out. But these are the 4 tools right now. And the one on discussions and journal prompts just came out in December. Basically, you have the feature for Blackboard to use an AI tool, and you can tell it what subject matter you want to write a course on and give it a slight description. And it will actually create, or not create, it will recommend learning modules for you to have for that subject. You can tell it how many learning modules you want to have, how deep you want it to look, and that sort of stuff. And it creates some possibilities for you, I'll say that, because you don't have to use them. But it doesn't create content. This is just the major learning modules. So if you're building a new course or redesigning your course, you could ask Blackboard to give you some ideas on possible learning modules that you may want to create for that topic. And we'll go into more of this in the future. The other thing is discussion and journal prompts. The big thing now as you may know, AI generative tools or AI tools that are out there that students can use to try and create essays and create work for them is really hard to have some sort of tool to tell you if AI tools were used to create those assignments or journals for students, because the AI tools are growing and getting better every day. So what Blackboard is suggesting, and we are suggesting, is use more authentic assessment types. And that's what this discussion and journal prompts may do. You type in a topic, you type in an area that you want to create a discussion or journal on, and it will create for you some recommended discussion or journal entries, or not entries, but headings that you want to use to create that. It does the same thing for test questions. You can create test questions by simply typing in the topic and telling it, set some different levels on that, and it will create some possible questions that you can use. And then it'll do the same thing for rubrics. You tell it the assignment or whatever you want to make, and have the AI generative tool create a possible rubric. So that can be very helpful. But again, these tools are not turned on for all instructors right now. In 2024, in this coming spring, CISC is going to be setting up a pilot group to test these new AI tools out in your live courses. If you'd like to be part of this pilot group, and we're going to be bringing this to each of the colleges out there, each of the schools out there, send me or Rebecca Roth an email and tell us you're interested in being a member of this pilot group. We will have some meetings throughout the semester where we discuss each of the tools. We'll teach you how to use the tools. Then we'll have you go out and actually use the tools in the course. And then after the fact, report back on how did it go? How were the student responses and those sort of things. And we'd like to get a better handle on that. So then maybe in the summer of next year, we can open this to all faculty and have some training available to them. Hopefully use your feedback, those members of the pilot group, to help guide and maybe set some best practices for this here at Greenville Tech. All right, last couple things, the image insertion button. This affects for students and faculty. No longer do you have to click on that little circle with the plus and choose insert image or whatever it was. There's now an image button on any of the content boxes. You can see this is an example for an assignment. Whether the instructor is creating the assignment or a student is submitting the assignment, they have that image button there, and you have it on announcements, you have it in messages. Every place that this text box generator basically, or the text generator box is, you'll have this new image button. So if you want to insert an image, you just simply click there. You don't have to go and find or to figure out which image or which button to click on. It's right there now for you. And then the last thing is some enhancements to the grades area on the mobile app. It used to be grades were just not colored. You know, the color pill was kind of a gray area. Now it's colored appropriately to the grade. So if it's an A, it's the dark green, a B, the kind of chartreuse green, and so forth. You can see here. And these are just the different views. They're pretty much the same, but some people always ask, is a student view and instructor view really that much different? And you can see here that it's not. So basically, that's the updates that we have for December. If you have any questions, and I'm sure Rachel will say this again, but if you have any questions, you know you can contact me or Rebecca Roth or anyone in CISC, and we'll try and help you out as quickly as we can.
Well, thank you, Lee. What great updates. Even if there are few, these are, again, exciting updates that make our work in Blackboard easier, especially some of those new sorting, grading controls as well. So I'm actually looking forward to getting to try some of those out in January with classes when we're back to it. So thank you for that. And as Lee said, they're always willing to continue the conversation. I've got Lee and Rebecca's emails here on the screen, lee.mcminn@gvltec.edu and rebecca.roth@gvltec.edu. But again, you could also email the CISC staff at gvltec.edu, and one of their team will connect with you about your questions or your comments and work with you on that. So You can also check out their LibGuide through the link that's provided in the description below this video. So you'll find a link to their LibGuide there as well. And we will be back in January looking at all the new things to come in the new year. But if you're interested in kind of the big overview, episode 25, the episode prior to this, was a Blackboard roadmap episode where Lee walks us through what is to come in the next 3, 6, etc. months. So if you're interested in getting a sneak preview of what's to come in the new year, definitely take a look at that episode. Otherwise, that's our teaching tidbit for today, and we will see you next time.